Lately, I have been crafting tall. This hand and these towers represent ways we have elevated our game to new levels, though sometimes I need to bring my head down out of the clouds and focus on the little builds, the ones that can completely change the way we look at the tabletop. Hello folks, and welcome to Dice Chatter. I recently finished a fun game of Frostgrave on the channel, and I really enjoyed the battle. My recent builds on my Wargaming board have been working out well, and I feel I have really improved my game from a verticality standpoint. Though as I keep building higher, I have noticed my models, fighters, combatants, whatever you want to call them, still seem to stay put on ground level. So as I look at the board and scratch my head, I wonder, why is that? Now, maybe I could chalk that up to running warbands that have very little ranged fighters. If there's only one archer or crossbowman on the table, the high point on my green tower isn't going to be all that useful to the plethora of other models on the table. And in a way, it gives this crossbowman a massive leg up on the other combatants as well. Obi-Wan was right. Having the high ground is key, so I figure the best way to level the playing field is to give these up close and personal fighters a place to hide and take cover. That is where some barricades could come in handy. It's a simple solution to change and manipulate the board. A good way to create choke points, blockades, and give our players another choice on the tabletop. And my choice at this exact moment is to build and show you how I created some Dice Chatter barricades. So without further ado, let's dive in. I wanted to keep the build simple for a project like this, something that is easily put together with a handful of tools and extra items. Even better, for those of you who watched my Wooden Bridges video, this creation should be very similar. A lot of the same ideas, concepts, and aesthetics will be copied over to this creation. I initially need to build the foundations for all of these barricades. This is done with a bunch of small wooden dowels. These are roughly 5mm thick, and they have been scratched, scored, and marked up with a wood saw as well as a knife. I want these barricades to seem like they have been built quickly by those combatants we see on the table. I went with hot glue to keep everything together for this build, and I'm hoping by the end of this creation, the illusion of ropes and other extra items will cover up any hot glue mishaps. The other thing that I believe will help create a seamless blend with my Wargaming board is using bits and pieces from some of my recent builds. I mean, I have my middle finger lying around, so why not slam it right in the damn center of this barricade? The only thing I don't know is if I should blur my finger in post. Well, of course, I can't forget about all those extra sprues I have lying around. I search and search through the mess of them, and a couple snips later, we have even more variety on this terrain build. As we look at a number of these barricades I have built, they all have a few differences, but they still look a bit samey. But I can argue once we put a splash of paint and a few more extra pieces on these wooden creations, we should have some badass barricades. Just like my bridges I created a little while ago, I stick to the same handful of Army Painter speed paints. For the wood, we start with a cream highlight with the dry brush, and as I'm sure some of you may have noticed, the extra bits were primed black as well. For the painting, I stuck to a simple theme. For each barricade, I experimented with all of those paints I showed a moment ago. Some get a bit more green, and others maybe a bit more red. Though I still make sure to use each and every speed paint. The only difference, I tweak the ratios. It is another easy and sneaky way we can start blending these wooden barricades with all my past creations, while still making them look oddly unique. Of course, for all the extra bits, paint them however you like. My finger, the bricks, everything needs to be looking fresh. I really do enjoy these extra little splashes of detail. I find it's a good way to get back into a bit of miniature painting as well, especially if you are like me, bouncing in and out of that aspect of our hobby. Of course, give all this a moment to dry before we add some rope all over the place using some pearl cotton. I love this stuff. Mixed with water and PVA, it really does the trick, adding an interesting charm. It can be a bit difficult to deal with, but I am happy to sacrifice a bit of time to add in this detail. I find it's the little extra things like the bits of sprue and rope that can boost up these simple barricades and create a fun terrain piece. Now we can't forget to do some final blends here. That is where these various shades of Army Painter washes come in handy. I pretty much use these colors in just about every terrain build I make, so of course I'll be doing the same here. I'm using an airbrush for the griming, and I understand that this tool can be a bit pricey or scary for the hobbyist who just started crafting terrain for the tabletop, but just like most things, this is just one of the many ways to tackle griming these neat-looking barricades. I'm sure a brush would do just as well. All of these washes have dried, and I want to make all the bits, rope, and wooden logs pop again. I find an off-white or a bone color is perfect for a light dry brush over everything. It's a simple terrain build, so let's continue to make things easy for us to complete. Of course, with every Dice Chatter terrain creation, I want to take the time to add a bit more character. Getting a white ink and adding some graffiti, symbols, or notes for the players and fighters at the table is a must. And models perish in some intense combat, so let's splatter some blood effects around a few of the barricades. With all of these final touches complete, I feel like I accomplished a creation I should have tackled a long while ago. But I can at least say I am done and happy with the outcome. So this outro and spinning of glamour shots is going to be a weird one. I had a stupid idea, and I just needed to know what would happen. In total, I had created 7 barricades, though you only see 6. One of them must have disappeared. Though in reality, I grabbed a blowtorch and blasted that barricade. It had it coming. And you know what? I absolutely love it. I wanted to try and replicate the image of an evocation wizard just absolutely pissing fire onto this barricade build, and I think using a propane torch did just the trick. It is always fun trying something new. My patrons, thank you as always. You warm my little heart. For the rest of you suckers, be sure to do all the socials and build something worthy of your table. Until next time, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.